Albatrosses are among the most magnificent seabirds on Earth, renowned for their immense wingspans that can reach up to 3.5 meters. Their long, narrow wings are perfectly adapted for dynamic soaring, allowing them to glide effortlessly over vast ocean distances with minimal energy expenditure. These birds possess streamlined bodies built for life at sea, webbed feet for swimming and maneuvering on water, and large hooked bills equipped with tubular nostrils that enhance their sense of smell. Albatrosses are primarily found in the Southern Ocean and North Pacific, notably avoiding the North Atlantic. They spend most of their lives at sea, coming to land only to breed, on remote islands scattered across the Southern Hemisphere. These isolated breeding grounds provide the safety and space these magnificent birds require. Albatrosses are opportunistic feeders, consuming fish, squid, krill, and carrion. They use their exceptional sense of smell to locate prey across vast ocean areas, often following fishing vessels to scavenge discarded fish and offal. This behavior, while providing easy meals, also puts them at risk. The life of an albatross is a marathon, not a sprint. These are remarkably long-lived birds, with some species living over 60 years. The most famous example is Wisdom, a Laysan albatross who, at over 70 years old, is the world's oldest known wild bird and is still raising chicks. This incredible longevity is the cornerstone of their life strategy, a slow and steady approach that prioritizes survival and experience over rapid reproduction. In a world where many birds live for just a few seasons, the albatross plays the long game, accumulating decades of knowledge about the vast and unforgiving ocean. This long life necessitates a long apprenticeship. Albatrosses reach sexual maturity relatively late, often not breeding until they are 8 to 15 years old. These gap years are spent almost entirely at sea, mastering the complex skills of navigation and foraging across thousands of miles of open water. They are learning to be an albatross. Periodically, they return to their natal colonies not to breed but to watch. They are silent observers, studying the intricate social dynamics and practicing the complex dances that will one day win them a partner. Once they have served their apprenticeship and are ready to breed, they seek a partner for life. Albatrosses typically form lifelong monogamous pairs, a partnership built on years of trust and synchronized behavior. This bond is not merely romantic, it is a vital survival pact, essential for the monumental task of raising a chick in one of the planet's most challenging environments. To establish and maintain this bond, they engage in elaborate and beautiful courtship rituals. This is a complex ballet of synchronized head bobbing, sky pointing, and wing spreading. They perform rapid-fire bill clacking and tender mutual preening. Each species has its own unique choreography, and it can take a young pair several years to perfect their personal routine. These displays are far more than just a spectacle. They are a critical form of communication. They strengthen their pair bond, reaffirm their commitment after long months apart at sea, and ensure their hormonal cycles are perfectly synchronized for successful reproduction. Following a successful courtship, the female lays a single, large egg, which can weigh up to a pound. This one egg represents an enormous energetic investment, and the pair will pour all their resources into protecting it. The nest itself is often a simple affair, a shallow scrape in the ground or a modest mound of mud and grass, built to withstand the colony's often harsh weather. The incubation is a marathon of endurance. Both parents take turns incubating the egg for about 2.5 months, one of the longest incubation periods of any bird. While one parent sits, the other undertakes a vast foraging trip that can last for weeks and cover thousands of miles. The returning partner's arrival triggers a gentle changing of the guard, a moment of quiet greeting before the roles are reversed. Once hatched, the chick is completely helpless and requires extensive parental care. For months, the parents will continue their grueling relay, bringing back a highly nutritious, energy-rich stomach oil that they regurgitate for the chick. The chick grows slowly and, depending on the species, it may not fledge for 5 to 9 months. During this time, it is vulnerable to predators and the elements, relying entirely on its parents for food and protection. Due to this incredibly intensive investment of time and energy, the entire breeding cycle, from courtship to the chick's final independence, can last for almost a full year. Consequently, most albatross species can only breed once every 2 years. Each fledgling that successfully takes to the sky represents a monumental triumph of endurance, partnership, and dedication, the culmination of a life strategy perfected over millions of years. As apex seabirds, albatrosses play crucial roles in marine ecosystems. They help regulate populations of fish and squid while serving as important scavengers, cleaning the oceans of dead and dying marine life. Scientists use satellite tracking to monitor albatross movements, providing valuable data about ocean health and climate change impacts. Their presence often indicates healthy marine environments. Yet for all their mastery of the skies, these magnificent ocean wanderers are living on the edge. Their ancient way of life is colliding with the pressures of the modern world, and today, most albatross species are threatened with extinction. Unfortunately, albatrosses face a gauntlet of numerous, often overlapping threats, many of which are a direct result of human activity. The single most significant threat is bycatch in commercial fisheries. Industrial fishing operations deploy vast arrays of gear, including long lines that can stretch for over 80 kilometers, armed with thousands of baited hooks. To an albatross, these baited hooks look like an easy meal of squid or fish. They dive for the bait as the lines are being set, a fatal miscalculation. Once hooked, the bird is dragged underwater by the sinking line, leading to a tragic and silent death by drowning. Trawl fisheries also pose a danger, as birds can collide with heavy cables or become entangled while feeding on discards. It's estimated that over 100,000 albatrosses die this way every single year, an unsustainable loss for these slow-breeding birds. Back on land, their breeding sanctuaries are no longer safe havens. Habitat disturbance from infrastructure, agriculture, and tourism can disrupt nesting colonies. But a more insidious threat arrived as a stowaway on human ships. Introduced predators like rats and feral cats have decimated populations on many islands. Having evolved with no land-based predators, albatrosses have no defense. These invaders prey relentlessly on vulnerable eggs and small chicks. On some islands, even house mice have evolved to become killers, attacking and feeding on chicks many times their size. Then there is the pervasive scourge of plastic pollution. As albatrosses skim the ocean surface for food, they tragically mistake floating plastic debris for squid and fish eggs. Bottle caps, lighters, and colorful fragments are all consumed. Even more heartbreaking, they unwittingly feed this plastic to their own chicks. The young birds' stomachs fill with indigestible junk, leaving no room for real food. This leads to a slow death from starvation, dehydration, or internal injuries. The haunting images of deceased chicks, their bodies filled with plastic, serve as a stark indictment of our disposable culture. And now, the emerging threat of climate change casts another long shadow. Warming oceans are altering the distribution of their food, forcing them to fly further and expend more energy. At the same time, rising sea levels and an increase in storm frequency threaten to wash away their low-lying nesting grounds entirely. But there is hope. A global coalition of scientists, governments, and conservation organizations is fighting back. International agreements, like the Agreement on the Conservation of Albatrosses and Petrels, coordinate efforts to protect these global travelers. A major focus is working with fisheries to promote safer practices. Simple solutions like bird-scaring lines, setting lines at night, and adding weights to make them sink faster have dramatically reduced bycatch. On land, ambitious habitat restoration projects are reclaiming islands. Eradicating invasive predators has created safe breeding sanctuaries where bird populations are rebounding. This work is guided by ongoing research. Using satellite trackers, scientists follow albatrosses to identify feeding hotspots where they overlap with fishing fleets. This vital data helps target conservation efforts where they are needed most, ensuring a safer future for the great albatross. Throughout history, few creatures have captured the maritime imagination quite like the albatross. For sailors embarking on long, perilous voyages across vast, empty oceans, these birds were more than just wildlife. They were constant companions, fellow travelers, in an immense wilderness of water and sky. Their appearance, often hundreds of miles from any shore, was a reassuring sign of life in the desolate expanse. Many seafarers came to believe that albatrosses were the reincarnated souls of sailors lost at sea, forever watching over their brethren on the waves. This belief fostered a deep-seated reverence and a powerful superstition. To harm an albatross was to condemn your ship and crew to terrible misfortune. They were seen as living barometers, symbols of good luck and favorable winds. An albatross gliding effortlessly in a ship's wake signaled steady, reliable breezes, the very conditions needed for a swift passage. Sailors, keen observers of the natural world, understood that the bird's mastery of the air was a key to reading the weather. Their ability not just to survive, but to thrive in treacherous storms, using the immense power of the wind to their advantage, inspired a profound sense of awe and respect. They were a living testament to endurance against the ocean's might. This deep-rooted maritime folklore was immortalized in literature, most famously in Samuel Taylor Coleridge's 1798 poem, The Rime of the Ancient Mariner. In the epic tale, a sailor impulsively shoots a friendly albatross that had been following his ship. This single, thoughtless act of cruelty brings a supernatural curse upon them. The winds die, the ship is becalmed under a blistering sun, and the crew perishes from thirst. As a penance, the mariner is forced to wear the dead albatross around his neck, a heavy, tangible symbol of his guilt and his crime against nature. The poem's haunting message has echoed through the centuries, cementing the albatross as a powerful Western symbol of transgression and burden. But their cultural significance extends far beyond European lore. For the Maori people of New Zealand, or albatross, is a sacred creature of immense importance. Its feathers and bones were prized possessions, used to adorn chiefs and warriors, symbolizing prestige, beauty, and divine connection. The bird's majestic flight and loyalty to its nesting grounds embody themes of endurance, mystery, and the untamed freedom of the open ocean. Today, the albatross has become a dual symbol representing both the incredible resilience of nature and its profound fragility. For millions of years, they have perfected a life on the wing, mastering the planet's windiest latitudes. Yet, in the space of just a few human generations, these magnificent survivors have become one of the most threatened families of birds on Earth. The very oceans that sustain them are now fraught with invisible dangers. Thousands die each year as accidental bycatch in longline fisheries, dragged to their deaths on baited hooks intended for tuna and swordfish. Plastic pollution poses another insidious threat. Adult albatrosses, mistaking floating plastic debris for squid and fish eggs, unwittingly feed it to their chicks. The indigestible plastic fills their stomachs, leading to starvation, dehydration, and a slow, agonizing death. On their remote island sanctuaries, introduced predators like rats and feral cats prey on eggs and defenseless young, disrupting the delicate balance of these ancient breeding grounds. The albatross, a master of the natural world, is tragically unequipped to handle these man-made pressures. But their story is not yet over. Their survival now depends entirely on our commitment to protecting the oceans they call home. Around the world, a coalition of scientists, conservationists, and even fishermen are working to turn the tide. Simple, ingenious solutions like Tory lines, streamers that scare birds away from deadly fishing hooks, are saving thousands of albatross lives. Ambitious island restoration projects are eradicating invasive predators, creating safe havens for nesting colonies to recover and thrive. The albatross is a sentinel of the seas. Its fate is inextricably linked to the health of our planet's largest ecosystem. Protecting these ocean wanderers means confronting the larger issues of unsustainable fishing practices, plastic pollution, and habitat destruction. It is a challenge we must meet, ensuring that future generations can look to the horizon and witness the unparalleled majesty of these remarkable seabirds, soaring freely and endlessly as they have for millennia across the wild and open oceans of the world.